So thank you all for coming today. As you know, this is hosted by StartUpNV, and we do our monthly lunch and learn events. This week, we're going to have Rafael talk to us about how to successfully deliver your product to the digital market. Rafael is a serial entrepreneur, a mentor, an angel investor, and he has a PhD in computer science and also has done many companies and has a lot of experience with products. He's been a CTO and a CEO in different stages of company growth in IT and healthcare. And so today he's going to teach us how to develop digital applications, how to have solid foundations for product development, and also steps to be successful in your digital business adventure.
Welcome, everyone. I'm very sorry for not being to be there personally. My trip to Reno and from Vegas, I wanted it to be more interesting for my family, so we went to Tahoe, but I didn't take into consideration the fact that it can be snowed in. And it happened to me today. I was trying to get to you, but because of I haven't seen this kind of snowstorm yet, so weather defeated me, and I just returned to the hotel to do the presentation with you remotely. Sorry again for not being very in person. I really tried. Thank you for the introduction. Thank you for having me and for listening to me. And as I was introduced, I am a serial entrepreneur. I'm IT guy in sense of software development, but I'm also entrepreneur in sense of business development, business strategy, and nowadays I'm also I'm part of investor committee of FundNV, so I have perspectives on the startups, on launching the digital products from different perspectives, from a perspective of a founder, from perspective of an investor, and not only in the short term, but also in the long term. Not only creating something and quickly selling, but also creating something to last. Just to give you an idea, one of the things I created to last was my first company that we launched with my dad back in 2006. It's a medical company. I'm not going to go into details. I just want to show you how to think about strategy, because when we started in this market with this company, it's a very niche market, and it was mainly hardware market. Everybody was doing hardware, and we were the first one to introduce software, to introduce SaaS platform for this market, and it was very good for us. And what I will be presenting is based on my experience, also an experience of my team, and with this team, but we created this system that is called Diagnomatic. We even won the Red Dot award in 2021. If you don't know what Red Dot is, it's like a Grammys in sense of design of applications of software, and also design of products. You can find this mark on many German products like Porsches or home appliances as well. They win a lot, but we also have this branch that is responsible for digital products. So what I will be talking to you about is, as I said, based on my experience and my perspective from different views on how to successfully deliver product to the market. The question is it easy? Maybe this is so easy that we don't have to even bother and everybody can do it. But the statistics are not in our favor as entrepreneurs, as startuppers, so to say. And as we may know, 90% of startups fail. The reasons for failing are numerous, but the number one reason is there's misreading of market expectation. There's mismatch between what we deliver and what market wants to receive. I would call it there's no focus on the user. There is no focus on the customer. I've been there. Sometimes you are so eager, so so enthusiastic. I have this great idea, it cannot fail, and it can fail because you have your own perspective. You are not checking the perspective of the customer, and you're not measuring the expectation of the customer that may change also during the deployment process. The second reason is competition. That's what I mean by it's all the same. There's not much distinguishment between what we do and what competition has. And the distinguishing factors are not strong enough for us to be strong on the market, to be competitive on the market. Also, problem is that we may have wrong people on board. What I say by wrong people, I mean, but not always we find good people for all the jobs that we need to do. I know it as a founder. There's always like this thing that you do a lot of things on your own, and sometimes you have to give some of your power to others, and sometimes it may be difficult to do that, but also to find correct persons to help us in different aspects of our of running of our startup. That's very important. If at any time during my presentation you have any questions, or just ask. Let's make it like more interactive. So how to be successful? How to be in this 10% of companies that succeeded. How can we? There is nothing sure on in our lives, like only sure thing is death and taxes, but how to increase our chances of success. I would follow Abraham Lincoln here, and I would say that preparation is most important. So as Abraham Lincoln said, that if you want me to chop a tree in 6 hours, I will be sharpening my axe for 4 hours, and that's very, very true in many aspects of our lives. Also in this aspect of starting startups, of running startups, starting products, delivering digital products to the market. Preparation is very important, and we cannot forget about it. I know that very often, again, we may be enthusiastic, want to start, especially if as me, when I was starting, I was the technical person in the company, so I could start developing the software. And sometimes you are so enthusiastic about developing the software, your solution, but you go too far in it. You go too far without thinking about planning, about analyzing the market and things like that. But maybe, so to say, strike one. It may be a mistake, because what we want to do is, firstly, we want to understand the market needs. We want to understand the customer. We want to test our ideas with minimal expenses. And thanks to this, we want to minimize the risk of failure. And also, we want to save our time and resources, because when you are a startup, your resources are very limited, and you should spend it in a right way. And we should combine all of these factors together to reduce our risk and improve our chances of success. Starting on this far left side of this diagram, to understand the market, to understand what we are doing, we need to do our research. And it's like the first step, what we should do. We have our idea, we have our grand idea for an app, for a system. Now we should check if this idea is good, because we may be a technical person, we may be in the market, like the software I showed you, that was our first creation. It's very niche. It's very niche. You have to be very deep in the industry to understand this solution. Maybe you are in the same situation, or maybe you are in B2C market, where you address more people. But still, it's always you have to check the market, do the research, because you may be wrong in your perception. And the first question, like from this list, is like, we also always, like, very often I hear it, like, I ask this question, and also I hear it very often asked by other investors: what inspired you to come up with this idea? What inspired you to do this app, to do this system? What was the foundation of this? When you ask yourself this question, it's very good to have this answer, not only for yourself, but also for your team, because it may be something very inspiring. I want to help people. I want to improve the way they live. I want to reduce the number of accidents, for example. And this may be very inspiring, for you, for your team, but also for the people you will be bringing, like investors and customers. So I think this is like one of the very important questions you have to ask yourself during this research. Why I'm doing this? And I will also show you later how it fills into the strategy of a company. So what we want to answer also is why do you think that this product will sell? And one of the first parts of like measuring the chances of our success is to check the market. Here's the slide from different project of mine. It's about it's a game development studio builder kind of project, but it shows an idea how can we know how big audience are we addressing. So it's like a traditional sum division of a market. So we have total addressable market. In this case, we are talking about indie games development. So it's something that we can relate to. Probably everybody's playing games or know about games, so it should be easy to relate to. So we are talking about entire game market, which is huge. Then we go deeper. What is our serviceable addressable market? Now, we want to focus on console PC games, so it's a bit smaller than the entire cake. But what can we address now? What is our serviceable obtainable market? What we can address now? What we can address now is indie games. So it's an even smaller part of the cake. But this gives us, as a founders and also investors, to see, okay, in what kind of market are we playing with? Are we playing with something big, but even getting 1% of that market is great success? Or are we talking about something very small, like, I don't know, like a local shop, and we can sell to like our 20 neighbors, and that's all. So this also shows us we can assess how successful can we be in the end. If we capture even 50% of the market or 20% of the market, how big will we be, and how much we have to invest to be in that place. So this is very important stuff we have to answer when we are analyzing the market. Other thing we want to check is competition, of course. Who else is on the market? Who is providing similar solution to us? But not only direct competition like Pepsi and Coca-Cola, they are direct competition. Or I don't know, like circus, between circuses we can have competition, or we can, or what is non-direct competition. For example, competition to circus, I would say, is Netflix, because this is how we can spend our free time. We can either go to circus, and you will see why I'm using circus in a moment. One circus is competing with other circus in this space, but they also competing for our free time as a family. Should we spend it in a circus, or should we watch Netflix or go to the movies? So we need to look on the competitive landscape in many aspects, and maybe there's like we are so happy, we are so fortunate that we are in the space that there is no competition, and we are in a blue ocean, as it is called. I will go back and explain this idea in a moment. We are in this environment, but everything is, we don't have no competition. We can just, whatever we do, we will sell. It seldom happens. It usually doesn't happen. There's always some kind of competition, especially in a space of IT, in a space of digital products. There's somebody who had that idea. But even if there is a competition, we need to check what this competition does, what they offer. Do they address the same group of customers as we do? Do they have the same features? Maybe the market is so big, but it will accept another competitor in the space. Maybe we just need to distinguish ourselves from others with some features, with some functionalities. Maybe that's the way to do it. In big markets, that may be a case when we, even getting, like 0.5% of the game market is huge. It's huge success. Of course, it depends on the, the amount of money you have to spend to do that. But what we looking to do in this competitive analysis is achieving something less, as you see on the slide, like having this. We have different washers here, and we can have like we need to create like this matrix where we check what are the most important features of the app we have and compare it to the competition. Where are we best? Where we can do better, and where we are lagging. And usually this is something you probably are used to. This kind of if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a startup person, usually when you're pitching, you do this kind of analysis. What else can we do when we doing competitive analysis, the market analysis? We can do SWOT, usual SWOT analysis. like measure our strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats on the market. We can use the BCG matrix, which is like a growth matrix, and I'm not going into details. It's just to like a highlight of what we can do. What we want to be a star. We don't want to be a dog, so we don't want to have a low market share and market growth. We have good market share, and we still want to have room to grow. Just to sum it up. Going back to my, how can we change the game sometimes? I'll go now into more like a strategic thinking about our products, about what we can do with as a business person. There is something that is called, maybe you know it. There is a blue ocean strategy. Blue ocean strategy is an idea that instead of fighting on the market, like maybe creating new values, adding new values, like if we have a product and we add values to the product, in terms of like functionalities, it is more like a red ocean strategy. The blue ocean strategy is a different idea. We create our product in a way that it moves us to the space where we have no competition, where we create a new value for the customer, new space for the customer, new market. And this is what we I show with Diagnomatic at the beginning. It was like what we wanted to do is like in the traditionally hardware market, we were looking for a way to add software, add AI, add cloud computing to it to deliver extra value to the customer, but also create a new space in the market, to have very old and stale competition. So this is like a very interesting idea, but it would be nice, maybe know it. If you don't know it, read about this because it's very, very interesting and very popular. And it can help you in creating ideas, creating values for your software. It forces you to think out of the box, so to say. And this is a great example of this. Do you know what this logo is? What's the company?
We have a few people saying Starbucks.
No, it's going back to circus. It's Cirque du Soleil. Cirque du Soleil is Starbucks is like a mermaid.
I knew what Starbucks.
Yeah, so
it's got a problem now. I think I forgot the logo.
Yeah, it's like a similar, but this is great example of a blue ocean strategy. You all know, like when I was learning about it, I was in Europe, so Cirque du Soleil is not so popular there, but it's very popular here. And so it was not obvious for me, but you probably all know like what Cirque du Soleil is, what they present. And think about them like in this concept. If you, the dotted line is a value curve of a traditional circus. The solid line is a value curve of a Cirque du Soleil. And look what they've done. They analyzed what kind of values are there in the circus. So you may have a price. In a traditional circus, you could only compete with a price. If you have like two circuses, you'll go to the one who has like maybe bigger animals or better clowns, something like this, you know, or what's cheaper. And they thought about it differently. What's important, like price, circus stars for traditional circus, they are important. But for them, no, you don't see, there is no spotlight on a, if you think about it, there is no spotlight on any artist in the Cirque du Soleil. They're as a group, they work as a group, as a performers. The same with animals, they don't have animals. They don't have, they have like accompanying sale, but it's not important, but it's not like a part of the model. If you go to in Las Vegas to hotels, you can buy some franchise, but it's not like a core of it. You can have multiple shows, you can have very complicated shows, and that's not important for them. What's important is fun and humor. That's also important for the for traditional circus, and this tension, danger, you know, with acrobatics and stuff like that. But what's unique is there's the main theme. It's like a performance. It's like a theater, you know. So it's more like opera, and you know, if it's maybe in Vegas, it's not like a completely true. But when I was like, one of the arguments is like, when you go there, it's more like a show, you know. You don't to a circus, you'll go with like a slacks, you know, with short pants, but for you know for Cirque du Soleil, some people wear like, you know, suits. They are much nicely dressed, you know. They treat it highly. They think about it like more like an opera, more like, you know, like something higher, you know, not only the circus and fun there. There's a lot of good music. There's good, you know, there's theme around it. And if you think about it like as a total about Cirque du Soleil, you can see that they actually created the blue ocean, because they decided that all of the things that were important for the traditional circus, and instead of building better, you know, better circus with better animals, better stars, and you know, like doing more, they decided, no, we will measure what's important for the customer and go that way. And this way, you know, like, you know how expensive tickets for Cirque du Soleil are. So I doubt you will pay this kind of price for the normal circus. And this is what blue ocean, what this creating value proposition for that changes the market is, to think outside the box and try to do something more. Yeah, so I hope that's a bit inspiring if you didn't know that strategy and didn't know about this case, because I remember like when I learned about it like some years ago, it was very inspiring for me and helped me with thinking about my companies, how to think outside the box, how to not get caught into, you know, traditional competitive red ocean strategies, because it's only you know, the main important thing about this is they can charge whatever for the Cirque du Soleil. There will always be a person willing to pay $500 or even $1,000 just to go to a show that is so cool. And the traditional circus will never reach this level. And the same goes to different, you know, even I think even Marvel is an example of blue ocean strategy. If you think about them like to the times where they were only comic books, They were just comic books. They couldn't do it. And what they done is go to the movies. They also streamlined the process of producing movies, TV series, and stuff like that. And they changed the game for themselves as well. So they are also a good example of blue ocean strategy. Yeah, but maybe one more idea before we come back to the software itself. It's concepts of two very, very prominent persons. One you may know is Simon Sinek, and the other is Jim Collins. So I will give you like an overview of both ideas. I don't know which one is better. I think it's best to use both in some way. So for Simon Sinek and Golden Cycle, let me give you a story. I use the story sometimes to show you the difference between different why, how, what, because he recognizes that each company can tell you what they are doing. We are doing pens, for example, and the other company will tell you how are you doing them. It's some companies will only tell you that, oh, we do it, I don't know, with love or something. It doesn't matter. But why are you doing this? This is a harder question for a company. Why are you doing this? No, not the obvious answer to be profitable and to make money. This is too obvious. You know, we are looking for something stronger, real vision. That's why back in the beginning, I told you about this main question: why are you doing this? This is very important. But let me give you an example. Let's say I always start telling this story. I don't know if it's the same story that Simon Sinek said, but one time I was walking in my town back in Europe, and I saw people building a building, and there were 3 workers. Each one was laying bricks. I know it's like in the US it's mostly wood, but in Europe it's mostly bricks. And I walked to them and asked, "What are you doing?" And the first person told me, "I'm just like I'm working here like from 8 to 16, you know, and I'm putting bricks one on another." Okay, that's cool. I walked to the second one. What are you doing here? You know, I'm building a wall, so it's strong, so it's resistant. Okay, that's good. Good, continue. And I walked to the third person. What are you doing here? I'm participating in building an oncology center that will be used to treat patients in our region. Oh, that's cool. And I want it to be, you know, strong and to provide for the community. And yeah, and this is like the difference here. You can see what's the message behind this. How stronger the message of the first, you know, bricklayer is compared to just laying bricks one on another. There is no conviction behind this. And this is like the main story behind the Golden Circle. If we, as entrepreneurs, as companies, resonate what's in our heart, what built our companies, this also convinces customers to be part of this story, to be part of this mission, higher mission. So that's Simon Sinek. On the other hand, we have Jim Collins. And Jim Collins had like if you know him, he done a lot of research when it comes to companies. He analyzed them across years, really, I think like from maybe 60s, 70s until like late 20s, 2010 maybe. I don't remember exactly the year he's finished, but he wrote several books, From Good to Great. So how are good companies distinguished from the great companies? And also he analyzed later, after the financial troubles in 2008, he analyzed which companies out of those great companies survived and what made them survive the crisis. And what he found out is like but there are 3 things. This is called the hedgehog concept. The hedgehog concept is because we have to use them like, we have to interline them, always use them and repeat them. So what are we deeply passionate about? That's one important thing. Then what is our economic driver? What gives us money? And what we are the best in the world at. And if we always look on these 3 arguments, these 3 features, we should be strong and successful as a company. Who is right, Simon or Jim? I don't know. Probably it's best to use them, like together, because I can understand the concept, and especially Jim Collins, he done a lot of studies. He was very thorough in that. So he may be up to something when he says that, because as I said, it was multi-year project with many companies. If you didn't read his book, I can encourage you to. It's very great. Okay, but coming back to the to the digital project, digital product, I went more into strategy now. But let's get back to the product, to digital product we are talking about here. Do you have any questions at this point, or should I continue? Yep.
So I was holding off on my questions, but you quoted both of those gentlemen, and it's interesting to me, and I have to ask you a little bit detail of your background. So did your success come from European success, or was it once you got here to the United States? What was the main marketplace that you focused on?
Mike, I think like it's global, because like even when my education was more US driven, I would say. Even my MBA was with professors from Illinois, and they were coming to my university, and I found like their approach, their thinking most inspiring. And the company, my first company I created, I told you about, was it's located in Europe, but we sell globally. And one of the reasons why I moved here in 2019 was to grow our presence in the US, to be more on site, because it's very important for American customers to have people here on site. So I'm running like R&D department here. I'm also like CEO of European entity, but remotely. And I'm leading still the software development part. So it's European and US. I would say it's global. I visit many countries and interacted with many people, and I always say, like, I have this like saying with my wife, because my wife also like traveled with me a lot at the beginning when we were a growing company, and we were doing a lot of things alone. And sometimes you go to a meeting, and people tell you, I will help you with this, I will do this for you. And at the beginning, when you are inexperienced, you're okay, it's great, it will be so cool, it will be so successful. And in the end, it very often doesn't work, because like they are overselling themselves, I would say. And with time, you are learning how to distinguish actual possibilities from just people trying to get into deal, maybe short-time deal. So, but what I like in the US is a completely different mindset. And I think like also I was already created several companies here. One is even like pizza truck, but I'm doing also stuff in technology and healthcare. What I love here is entrepreneurship spirit. And my experience nowadays is mostly based on the US. I never wanted to be like stuck to European thinking or Polish thinking. So Poland was my origin, where I was born, my homeland. And I always wanted to be, I aspired to be more entrepreneur related, and don't be afraid about failure, because in the US the culture about failure is very good. You are not afraid to be wrong. You are not afraid to try. Especially like even like from the investor point of view, if you fail, you learn a lot from this, and it's good from the investor point of view. In Europe, it's not the case always. And it's very often it's a bad thing if you fail. So yeah, did I answer? maybe long answer to the short question.
It was great. I do a lot of work in Europe. I've done a lot of work in the EU. One of my first projects was many years ago for a power company in Spain. So when I think of the philosophical nature, like Simon, right, or I don't see Europe in there. I don't see globalized thinking. I just got off a project in Singapore, and they're embracing in Singapore. In Singapore, look out, they're taking people's lunches right now because they're so effective.
Yeah.
No, and
Yeah, I agree.
Side note, my wife is Polish. There you go. She's from Chicago. And when you were you in the University of Illinois in Champaign?
Yeah.
I have good friends that are from there, that went to school there. I have no more questions for
No,
me.
it was a great experience. No, thank you for that. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, so what's my time? Okay, I have to move on. So we had like we analyze the market. Let's say we analyze the market. We have a good sound strategy. We have a good idea from analyzing market. Okay, we will not be selling only to our neighbors. It is like there's also a question of feasibility, technical feasibility, and I will get back to this. But we see, okay, we analyze this critically, our idea. We are not, overjoyed. We are not like, overjoyed to a level that we are not thinking rationally. We are good to go. We want to start this. So what next we should do is create what we call user stories. So it's like a brief description of an app functionality, but it's written in a plain language. It's generally, we want to say, okay, as a user, I want to do this and this to achieve this and this. So generally, we want to look on the app from a user perspective and write down all the functionalities we want to do. It can be something very simple, like with Post-its, and some cutouts, just to organize our thoughts. Or we may use a tool for this. We may use this kind of board where we have a user, we have actions. So search, get product details, and check out this action. And each action has some steps, and each step has its tasks. And as when you look on this, okay, I can understand how it looks like. It's like we are going into details what we want to do in our app. Later on, we also can use like with dotted lines are like we are defining different slices. We are defining different stages of development of the app. We might decide that this part is it will go first, and that part will go in later stages. But I will get back to this. Yeah. So as we have this, now we can plan. If we have functionalities, as we started here, we are starting to think about what's more important, what's less important. So we have to plan. And again, I have a good quote from this time from Benjamin Franklin. If you fail to plan, you are planning to fail. And that's so true. You have to plan, and maybe not overplan, but you have to plan. If you're not planning, it will be bad. And very often what I see when it comes to app development, people just want to go and start developing. I compare it to like building a house without a design. So I will put a kitchen here. Then I will add a room, and I will add other room, and in the end I'm just left with a Frankenstein monster a bit, because I haven't planned up front. So how to plan, how to put our thoughts on the paper. So the first thing we need to think about is roadmap, and roadmap is a very simple concept. Maybe I'll go to this part. It's we put our tasks we need to do in order. So we need to have like a timeline of delivering different functionalities, different milestones, where we are achieving different milestones for the app, when we are achieving different functionalities for the app. We should be like when we think about us, when we think about the team, we should always have some tasks that are very ambitious and far-reaching long-term goals, but we also should have some tasks that are more present. The other view we can use is this, what is called streamline view. When we have backlog, so the things we want to do, we have some things that we are designing now, the things we are developing that are in progress, and things that are completed. So we just move the products between those lines. So this kind of tools help us organize our thoughts, our ideas for the software, which we got from the users, and put them on paper, so to say. But how to get from this, from this long list of ideas, how to define priorities, how to get from this from the list of ideas and tasks we have to do to this timeline, how to prioritize things. In this case, very important are tools as priority matrix. We put the task into 4 categories. Something what is we have on one side, we have low effort and high effort, and low impact, high impact. So if we have something that needs low effort and high impact, it's quick win or low hanging fruit, whatever you could call it. Something we can achieve with very low effort, but it will give us high impact. We can also have something that is on the other side, that is, requires high effort, but is low impact. And this is like thankless task. There are also things that are major projects or feelings. So using this tool, we can try to prioritize the things we have. The other tool we can use is Masco prioritization, where you where you divide tasks into features, into must-haves, should-haves, could-haves, and won't-have. And this way, we can always put what's more important at the top of the list and what has lower importance lower. This helps us prioritize our thinking and put us on the right track without losing time for unnecessary tasks. So going back to this diagram, we understand the market. We should now think about testing, but all of what we are doing is, again, to minimize the risk, to maximize our knowledge about the market, and to save time and resources. So how should we test the idea? There are 3 basic concepts for this. We have proof of concept, but is focused on feasibility of a given app, maybe functionality. You don't always use it. It's more about showing technical feasibility of something. It should be part of a research if it applies. If it's more straightforward application, you will do it. When you have prototype, when you test functionality, you focus on functionalities, you are doing mockups. And then we also have MVP, minimal viable product, which is focused on user experience. And I will go deeper into those. So proof of concept, as I said, is we want to prove very cheaply, very easily, that what we want to do is right. It can be, you can imagine that maybe we are doing something with AI. We are figuring out new way to, analyze the stock market. And we should try if this works. We shouldn't go into project, okay, I will design everything, I will design an entire app, I will gather all the information, I will create all the stories, all the workflows, and develop everything just to realize at the end that we were mistaken and this is not feasible. We cannot do it. It's not achievable. Maybe because limitation of the technology. Maybe because just our idea is wrong. So very often on this research stage of a project, we use proof of concept. We should use proof of concept to minimize risk again, to test our idea, but not actual product. It may be like a landing page, for example, when we are testing if our marketing project is working. It can be like a mock-up of our app, just to test the functionality of what we want to do. The next stage is a prototype. It's how I would call it, like an interactive mock-up of a product. It's not actually app. It's more like a mock-up. It's the first time we can see our product in real life. We can use different tools for this. Here is Adobe XD, and generally, as you can see here, we can create mock-ups of each screen, of each feature of an app, give it a look, like give it the design we desire for this app, and build some connections between workflows, between different screens, between different views of a system. It even can help us, like we can even click through it, but it's still just a mock-up. It only shows, it doesn't have functionality behind it. It's only the front end. It only shows us what's in front. Then we have we can also use Figma for this, which also allows us to construct different views, different wireframes, as we call them. It's also a great tool to visualize what we want to do and design what we want to do. And very often at this stage, if we are creating something larger, or if we, as a founder, we are not strictly, I would call it, in the user shoes, if we are not experts in the given field, very often at this stage we would invite some customers, some guinea pigs, to click through it, to give us feedback. And at this point we can play with buttons, we can move them in the different places. We have something interactive to show to our customers. It's also maybe a good place to have something tangible to show to our investors, maybe to show them what we want to do, what our app is all about. But again, it's only a mock-up. It's nothing in the backend. All of this, what I'm describing, you can do alone, but very often, like entrepreneurs are doing this alone, or they are using outsourcing. They're using outside developers, maybe some software houses. But what's important, this is like usually this is called discovery phase, and so you remember, you always should require from if you are hiring the outside development. But this part is they should deliver something for you. They should deliver user stories. They should deliver wireframes, technical feasibility study, recommendation when it comes to technical solution, the roadmap I showed you. And what's important, most important, the scope of the MVP, so the minimal viable product, what we want to do in this first stage, what we want to develop. So most of these things, as you can see, at this point we were analyzing a lot, we are writing a lot, we were discussing a lot, but actually we haven't started coding really yet. If we didn't do a proof of concept of a technology, we really didn't even started to code yet. We are just preparing, we are sharpening our axe. So what's next? We have this discovery phase. So what's next? Next is a Concord, another story when it comes to management. I blew it because I should ask you what is this, but everybody knows it's Concord. And what do you think Concord has to do with all of this? Anybody has an idea? Why am I talking about Concord? Yeah?
So I'm old enough to remember the Concorde. And it was supersonic flight all the way from New York to Paris. Am I anywhere in the ballpark?
Yeah, it's like it's more about the entire project. More about the entire project. It was a great, like I'll take you the background. It was a great, like I think Lockheed also competed in this race, and it was all about creating ultrasonic plane, but will travel from London to New York in below 3 hours. It was, the engineering feat, the heat, the engines, the pressurization of the cabin, all of this. It just, it's buggers belief, like what engineering miracle it was to do this, but it costed a lot. It was all the way. It was very risky. The crash of the Concorde was caused by the small debris on the tarmac, but finally closed the project. But what I am want to say to show you, this was one of these traps, the traps you can fall into. this is called the trap of a sunken cost. How often do you think about things, like, I cannot stop now. I put so many money in this. I put so much effort into this. It's a trap, and we always should be aware of this trap. But we are thinking, my reputations on this, my money are into this, and we are thinking only about the sunken costs, about what we put into the project. And Concord was this from the beginning. It took much longer to develop than was planned. It took much more money than it was, I think, like maybe twice or even maybe 10 times. It was not economical to fly. It was never making money because the fuel, the preparation, everything, it just was too expensive for it. But nobody was willing to cancel it because it was like, it was a project between UK and France. It was like this image thing. They couldn't lose their face, and everybody was keeping putting money into this. It's like this is an important project for us, until this fatal crash that killed everybody on board, and also in the hotel where this plane fell. And it all could be prevented because they knew about the problem with tires, but they were in this trap of sunken costs. So the saying is like shoot Concords. Remember about on all stages of the development or doing anything, just remember, are we in the trap? Are we like our only argument to continue is we put so effort to this and we have to continue? Remember about the Concord, like, are we there yet? Are we there? We should maybe stop where we can and not go further. So that was my another digression, so to say, from the main thought. I hope interesting. Now, like, when we have this discovery phase, we have all the designs, all the things we wanted to do. The next stage is minimal viable product. Here, this is the first time probably we're starting to develop something. We are creating app with core functionalities, that we choose as the most important ones for our solution, but were expected by the customer. And this was something we can show to the customer. We can give them to use, to play with, and to experience, and to test our theory now. If we are good, what we have thought about is actually working on the market. This is like a cool idea of how to think about it. We can have a donut. We have like a round shape for the product design. We have MVP, which is a donut with sugar sprinkle. But our final product, because what we have learned on the MVP base is donut with some colorful sprinkle, because this is better for the customer. Customer is not interested in the sprinkle, like a simple sugar sprinkle, but they are interested in this colorful one, but they buy it more. So as you see, we have completed this part. So we understand the market. We tested our solution. We have minimized the risk, and if we go through this process, we are saving time, because we are spending money only on things that are very important, and what we have to do. Always, like, coming back to the Concord, always not to think in the categories, can we do this functionality? Can we do this feature? But always think why we want to do this feature. Does it have sense? Is it important for the customer? Will it bring some pluses for the company or for the app? Is it important? Not can we do it, but should we do it? So what's after MVP? Because now, as you notice, we have actually, with MVP, we have delivered product to the market, but the next stage is minimal marketable product. From the lessons we have learned on MVP, on things that are important for the user, now we have implemented MMP, so minimum marketable product, with all the features that are expected by the users, but that bring value to the customer, to the business. And at this stage, we can already like think about things like, this is a good slide. At this point, we can think about things like customer acquisition costs, because we can measure this. We can listen to the user feedback. We can check how many users do we have. Do we fail when it comes to, okay, somebody's bought the app or installed the app or logged into the system, but he's not using it. So how many active users do we have? What are the recommendations? What is the engagement? And what's very important, like what are the customer acquisition costs? What are the customer life values? And all of this comes after we have already delivered product to the market, but these are the things we have to measure to be sure that our product will be successful afterwards. We've done all what we can do to, design and prepare ourselves for this development, for the MVP, and to go to the minimal marketable product. And now we have to sustain. We have to continuously measure the feedback. We have to continuously grow the system to deliver more and more value to the customer. Because I always believe that if we don't grow, if we don't develop more, if we don't think all the time about growing, we'll be left behind, because there's somebody else who has a similar idea, maybe better idea, maybe has more money to deliver product quicker. If we will not be vigilant, we can be overtaken. So we never should rest on what we are doing, how we are not only delivering but maintaining product on the market. Yeah. So actually, that's it from my side. I think I'm quite on time. I don't know. We had some time. We started later after 12. So summing up, please remember about planning. Planning is most important, about checking the market, about analyzing the market, and most of all, listening to the customer, getting feedback from the customer, doing what customers requires, but also being cautious about those, because imagine you are in I would say early 19th century. If I would ask you, how would you make carriage go faster? You would say, add more horses, because you didn't, but it took somebody smart to think, no, build a car. But because you never saw a car, you never thought about the car, you wouldn't give it answer like build a car or build a mechanical horse, because your perception of the environment was not, we were not thinking about this. And sometimes when you want to be very progressive, if you are delivering product to the market but is something new, it breaks the rules, so to say. Listening to customers may be a trap sometimes, because, as I say, if you wanted to make a faster, if you were a company making faster carriages, you would be just adding horses, not thinking about using a motor engine, to power them. So it may be also a trap, but we need to listen to the customers to get the feedback to grow our software, our solution in the right direction. Think please about the blue ocean strategy, and remember about Concord. I know it's very often we fall into this trap. I myself fall into this, and I see others fall into this. It's not a natural thing of ours, but we are so excited, we are so passionate about something. We want it to succeed, but we are sometimes too stubborn, maybe too blind to see that we are going in the wrong direction. It works in many aspects of our lives, I think. Yeah, so thank you so much. If you, I want to use this also opportunity to tell you about the TechDevNV program we have together with StartUpNV. You can learn more about it here. It's related to help with development, to to build apps for you. You can find it on the StartUpNV website. Yeah, so thank you so much. If you have any questions, please ask. Thank you for your time. I don't know how to choose. Maybe you choose on your side.
Right.
First.
Yes, I'd like to thank you for an absolutely wonderful presentation. You've covered an immense amount of very useful material and literature. Some of the fonts on your slides were necessarily very small, and I'm wondering if you could share a PDF with Audrey so that we can watch this again and go over it in detail. It is just a remarkable summary and survey. Thank you immensely.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Of course, I will share it.
Okay, great. And do you have a question?
Yeah, no, I just also wanted to second that opinion. I really appreciate your time, and it was a really cool overview. And I was just curious about your involvement with StartUpNV right now, or if you go back to the last slide, like what is this Tech Dev NV?
So that's like our program with StartUpNV, because like what I'm doing as part of many hats I'm wearing. You know, when I moved here, I started to work with startups, you know, with entrepreneurs, and mostly in IT space, you know, and as a mentor, as investor, I noticed there's a lot of problems when access to the it's a global problem, as probably everybody knows, with access to qualified good programmers. And what we want to do with this program is give companies. We want to create ecosystem here with StartUpNV. I'm helping companies get access to good developers, good software houses back in Poland, where where I think that developers were on third place in the world, if I'm not mistaken, and pricing is much more attractive than when you look at the US, and also there are not such cultural difference when you're talking about India or Asia. So I'm just like, this is what we want to do with StartUpNV, to give this access to this resources, but normally you would have to pay a lot, but you can get the access to them via us here in Nevada. And also there's a part that when we can do some development for equity. So this is like I forgot the name of the company, but that we follow the model of. It's like Indian company, but that's the same. But they do the development for equity, kind of thing.
Okay, great, thank you.
All right, thanks so much, Rafael. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
All right. So we're just going to wrap up really quickly. So we do lunch and learns every single month, as many of you know. We're having another one next month on April 12th. It's by Bill Johnson. He's a community building expert, and he's doing community building for startups 101. So that's going to be a fun one. But yeah, if you're interested in joining next month, you follow us on social media. We always post about it, and you'll be getting our emails as well. But thank you so much, everyone, for attending. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.